Right, welcome back guys. Apologies if there's children in the background, but can't be helped at the moment. So I wasn't gonna share this. Well, up to this point I haven't filmed any of it and it's been a little bit ongoing. But it's starting to take the piss out of me and I thought it might make for quite an interesting video. So here we are. So it's a Honda CB350 1973 Four, same age as me basically, 1973. So the story goes, guy bought it, he's a good customer of mine. He bought it, is that somebody crying? Oh, for fuck's sake. Have you put soil in your water bowl?
No.
How's your water brown? Sam, not in here, mate. Right, listen. Daddy's talking to the internet. Daddy's talking to the internet. Can you be quiet now? Yeah? Right, go away and then play with your brother. Fucking hell. I'll start again. Because I can't remember where I was up to. Honda CB350, 1974. Had a 4x1 onto it. Guy bought it. Blue smoke coming out of the exhaust. I took it apart. Worn out bores, like 2 thou of ovality in the bores, like properly worn out. It's had a rebore, it's had new pistons, new rings. The head, there's an almost bordering on service limit valve guide to valve stem free play on the exhaust valves. Put some new exhaust valves in it and it's within tolerance. Inlet guides seemed okay. New valve stem oil seals in the inlet side on the inlet guides. It doesn't have valve stem oil seals on the, it's a bit of a quirk to these, or the early ones at least. No valve stem oil seals on the exhaust valve guides. So it is quite critical in terms of oil burning to have a good valve stem to guide clearance. Sammy, go away. Good boy. It's quite critical to have good valve guide to stem clearance on the exhaust side because there's no valve stem oil seal, which we've got. It's within spec. New valve stem oil seals on the inlet side. What I'm saying is, it's all perfect, right? So I'll put it all back together. Let me play you the video. After I put it together, I made the guy a little video. Because when it went back together after being rebuilt, it had this 4x1 put on it. Previous to that, I had a 4x1. Let me play you the video I sent the guy. In a nutshell, smoking like a fucking steam train on number 2 cylinder still. When it had a 4x1 on it, we couldn't tell, just assumed, and it was worn out, it was properly worn out and needed reboring. Just assumed it was the oil coming out of the exhaust pipe was a combination of, you know, all 4 cylinders were contributing to the blue smoke coming out of the back. Now it's got this 4x4 system on it. You can individually see which cylinder is smoking, and number 1, 3 and 4 are not even the tiniest bit of smoke. And I know the wear in the valve guides is the same across all 4 cylinders. I've had the head apart, so I'm super confident it's not. Anyway, I'm waffling. Have a look at this video that I sent the guy. It's smoking like buggery out of number 2, and then we'll come back and I'll show you it's smoking, and then I'm starting to get an idea of what might be wrong. Actually, there's more to the story. Hold that thought. Where's that box gone? Right, so it was smoking like buggery on number 2. This has been going on for a few months and I've been dipping in and out of it. It was smoking, it went together with its 4x4 system on, smoking like buggery on number 2 cylinder. thought, what could possibly be wrong? Anyway, I took the head off it. Whether this is going to come out any good. This is the head gasket. See how wet it is around the cam chain tunnel. This is, where are we? This is number 2, this one, this cylinder. I thought, it's, no, this is number 2, this side, I think. I thought, it's sucking oil in somehow from the cam chain tunnel. So anyway, head off, straight edge on it, measured the tolerance in the cylinder head for warpage, and it was about 2 thou lower in the middle. I thought, you'd think an old air-cooled engine like this, you'd torque it down on a head gasket this thick and it would be fine, but I thought, that must be it. It's the only way. It's got new piston rings, been bored properly, it's got new valve stem oil seals. The only way oil can get in the combustion chamber, and I'll show you that it's not the exhaust valve guide, it's actually in the combustion chamber because the top of the piston crown's wet with oil. I'll show you that in a minute with a little camera. I thought it must be drawing oil in through the cam chain tunnel. So I took it off, got the head skimmed, just a light tiny skim, a couple of thou off it, just to flatten it out so there's a real good gasket surface. New head gasket, all back together, still fucking smoking exactly the same. Anyway, let me show you that video that I sent the guy when it went together the first time, and yeah, we'll go from there. Cool. Hey Budge, so first update, I've got the exhaust separated, you know how they join under here. By the way, you're not missing much in terms of the weather. It's great here, I hope you're having a nice time. Anyway, it's all the smoke is number 2 cylinder. There's nothing coming out of number 1 at all, or number 3 or number 4. So there's something funky with number 2 cylinder. Anyway, that's update number 1. Yeah, so that video was the video that's after fucking I lost track of where we were up to. That video was that video was after the first time it went together. I'd got it together and we found there was a problem and I didn't have any time, so then I had to go back to his house and he wasn't there, he was away somewhere doing something. So I wanted to come back because there's little joiny things on the exhaust pipe. It's a 4x4, but the silencers join together halfway down the length of the silencer, so I was getting smoke out of number 1 and number 2, and it was late after we finished putting it together, and I said just leave it for now, my head's fucked, I'll come back and take a look at it. This is sort of Christmas time, I think it was, or January, beginning of January. Anyway, so I went back and I separated the exhaust pipes, and you could see there's a bit of rag stuck in the gap between the 2 pipes, so I could identify whether it was number 1 and number 2 or whether it was just one of the cylinders. It turns out, yeah, it's just number 2. So then anyway, it got stripped again. That's when we found this. I found this head gasket problem. Got the head skimmed. It's back together now again with its skimmed head, and it's exactly the same. So let me show you that in real time now. I've had these carbs. It's sort of not quite together. The exhausts are on without their brackets. I've just been resting the carbs on to run it. Let me put the carbs, push the carbs on, start it up, and you can actually see it leaking, blowing smoke. Right, got a fuel supply hooked up to it. Just push the carbs on. They're not even tight, but it's enough just to let it run. And to add insult to injury, the carbs have now started leaking. There's a little, yes, baby. That's the camera. Right, go and play. Look, I'm trying to do something here. It's nearly impossible.
Ooh.
Yes.
Hello.
Get out. Get out.
Bye bye.
Sorry. What was I saying? Carbs are pushed on, not even tight. It started pissing fuel out from there's a little joiny pipe between each. The fuel goes into the centre, and then there's 2 little joiny pipes that join the 1 and 4 and 2 and 3 carbs together, and now it's pissing fuel out everywhere. Just for added insult. So anyway, let me start it and I'll show you the smokiness. It has got electric start, but the battery's flat, right? But it's got a kick, so we're good. Come on now. Come on now. You know you want to. Yes. Fucking hell. Right, let it warm up a little bit. We keep knocking this fuel on and off just so the carbs are full, but it's not bloody gonna set itself on fire. I'll deal with that another day. It's fine when it's cold. As soon as it gets any sort of heat in the engine, that's when it starts. Wondering why this is shaking around. It's not got its brackets on. I've also got this rag tucked in. They join under here, just so each exhaust is representative. Is that a word? Yes, I think so. Each exhaust is representative of its cylinder. Are we getting that now? I think we're getting that, aren't we? Whereas the others are focus. There's no smoke at all out of the other cylinders, is what I'm saying. And as this warms up, it gets worse and worse. Anyway, that's that. Now, let me show you, if I can film it. I think I can. Let me show you down the inlet port and in the combustion chambers. What did you say it was?
The smell is stinky.
It is a bit stinky, isn't it? Camera's not on.
Is it a film?
No, it's a YouTube video.
Oh. And you just say, what is it?
That's an engine stand. Put it back.
This is heavier than I thought. It looks light, but it's actually heavy. But why is it like that? Is that your old key?
That's the old one, yeah. Right, are you done questioning me? Can I get on with my work now, please? See you later. Constant interruptions. It's nearly impossible to film whilst there are children present. What are you doing, Jim? Yeah, so I've literally just got the carbs. First things first. Shine a camera down here into number 2 and have a goosey gander. I'll take the plugs out. Right, so Lucky Lou with a bore scope. Let's have a look in number... Let's have a look in number 1. Not sure how well this is going to come out on camera. So what I can see when I look in here is... So this is a good one. Number 1 cylinder. And then number 2... That looks like oil to me. It also looks... It's hard to get it to focus. See the... I'll draw a picture, but it seems oily on this bottom edge of the port compared to... Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'm imagining that, but definitely down here. Looking at that casting there, that's cylinder number 1, and then the oil burny one. I'm wondering if it's definitely, the oil's definitely not coming down the valve guide, or between the valve stem and the valve guide, but I just wonder whether, you know, the inlet side with a throttle body, with a throttle butterfly close, there's a lot of vacuum there. I just wonder if it's pulling oil down between the guide and the cylinder head, because the guides have a, Megan, quiet, the guides have a O-ring on them. They're a press fit into the head and they've got an O-ring. I just wonder if somehow, as it heats up, something funky's going on there. I'll pull the exhaust off and let's just have a look in the exhaust side as well, just see if we can get a bit of an idea. And then in the cylinder, in case you're interested, hang on, let's do number 2. Do your comparison. It doesn't really, see, it looks quite wet on top of that piston crown, doesn't it? Megan, don't touch the camera, babe.
How do you know I'm touching it?
Because I can see her out of the corner of my eye, and I can see the camera moving. Yeah, that looks oily on top of that piston crown.
Daddy?
Sweetheart, you can see I'm busy, can't
I
you?
know, but I touched it because all it's pointing at is that, and I thought it's supposed to face you.
No, it doesn't need to face me, baby. Sorry, people, but it's, yeah, it is what it is. Can't work without Megan talking to me. Yeah, oily on top of that piston crown. Let's put it in number 3 for a comparison, because the piston will be at the same point in the stroke. See, that looks wet too, doesn't it? Those score marks in the side of the cylinder wall, they look horrific, don't they, on this camera? But they're not horrific at all. They're just the hone marks, and they look weird from this camera angle, but they're not. They're fine. Yeah, this wetness on top of the piston crown, given the carbs are overflowing and things, and it's running so badly, I can't attach any, you know, it's meaningless is what I'm trying to say, looking at that. I think the other side probably, let's go back to number 2. Number 2 definitely looks oilier, I think. Anyway, meaningless information. I think let's pull the exhaust off and have a look at the exhaust guide. Inconclusive, but it ain't coming in through the piston rings. It isn't coming in through the valve stem oil seal on the inlet side. I wonder if maybe there's a crack in the cylinder head, and it's, when it gets hot, something funky's happening. I wouldn't be too concerned. See that carbon mark there? That's number 2. That's number 3. Look, that's just as bad, if not worse. Whoops. Number 4. Yeah, I wouldn't. Oh, look at that there. That looks a bit funky. Except that's not my problem cylinder. Yeah, these carbon marks, just you can't. That's they're all always like that. Something to do, I think, with valve overlap. Yeah. This is the problem cylinder. This is number 2. Oh, I don't know. Let's pull the exhaust and have a look up the exhaust port.
I want to make my own video.
Do you?
Wait, no, you can be it. When you're fixing my car, I can say, hello everybody, look at these spark pluggies.
Oh, okay.
Are they called spark pluggies?
They're not pluggies, they're spark plugs.
Look, I see. And what's this?
Right, that's a ratchet, right.
What's that?
It's time for tea. You need to go in the house.
It's
Mummy just called you. Off you go.
I didn't hear.
Yeah, I did. Go on. Go and wash your hands. Good girl. Right, so check this out. It's hard to film it. So that's number one. Some oil coming down that valve guide. Well, that's number one, that's not Mr. Smoky. Then this one, it's quite a good shot of it. Look how oily that is. Fucking hell. And it's so oily, it's pooling on the bottom there, look. See, the thing is, the valve guides, the clearance between the valve stem and the valve guide, they're within spec, and all 4 cylinders are the same, so all the exhaust valves have got the same amount of free play. Yeah. I wonder if it's coming down the, not actually down the valve stem, but if it's coming, it's hard to see with this bloody camera. I wonder if it's coming, like I think I might have said earlier on, these valve guides, they're pressed into the head with an O-ring. I wonder if somehow as the engine gets hot and the head expands, the oil's coming down the inside of the valve guide where it presses in the head. Because the play in all these valve guides, like I just said, I'm thinking out loud here. So the free play between the valve guide and the valve stem is the same on all 4 cylinders, but only one is smoking like a steam train. And then back into number 1 cylinder. Now that's definitely oil running down the valve guide. But it's, you know, the moment you start it, that gets burnt off, and yeah, I mean, this is number 1. It's not smoking at all on number 1. Just take the exhaust off 3 and 4 and have a quick look. Righty-ho. Righty-ho. So this is, fucking hell, Blair Witch, that's number 4. Dry as a bone. That's number number 3, dry as a bone. And then for comparison, yeah, there's the problem. But I refuse to believe that it's coming down the valve guide, because they're all have exactly the same amount of wear. Anyway, no sense talking about it, is there? Needs to come apart again. I think I'm going to wear this thing out, taking it apart and putting it back together constantly. Right, humans. Where's me rat shit gone? Part 2. So it's definitely valve guide related. Quite where the oil's coming from. I'm pretty sure it isn't coming down the actual valve stem. I think there's something. Anyway, I need to get the head off, get the valve guide out, and inspect the cylinder head. So that's the plan for this morning. It's the day after part 1. Just still got this on the bench. I thought I've got other stuff I need to get on with, but I thought I'd just get the head off. I'm curious to know what's going on. So that's what we're doing. Pull the head, it's only 10 minutes just to get the head off one of these. And we'll see what's occurring. Come to daddy. Come to daddy. Right, walking out. Let's get you on the bench and get some valves out of you. So, sorry guys, change of camera, which means change of audio. So if it's a bit jarring, I apologise. So we're going from, obviously the head's upside down on the bench. So that's number, get that in focus, that's number 1. That's our problem cylinder. It looks to me, because the valve stem's dry, I'll mark on the screen, but it looks like it might be coming down the, like I thought, like down the inside of the guide. And then the stem on that one is slightly oily. And that one's completely dry. I think what's going to happen, we're either going to end up, because this thing isn't in perfect condition, you know, it's 45 years old, and by putting these new exhaust valves in, I brought it to within the spec in the, you know, the recommended spec. I think realistically what needs to happen is we need to recondition this head. Like, you know, there's no point in just doing half a job. So new guides, recut the valve seats, etc., or find a good second-hand cylinder head for it. I'd rather recondition this one, but you know, there's cost implications, aren't there? That's not a small amount of work. Anyway, so that's that. Let's get the valves out of it and see if we can see more. It's kind of hard to film this, but check this out. So that's number 4. That's one that's dry. And then check out the, look at all that. You know what, I think I'm right. I think the oil is coming down the inside of the, or rather the outside of the guide. It's got all that sort of shmooey schmeg. Let's see how tight that guide is in the hole. Give it a, put a drift on it and give it a tappy tap. Check this out. That's how tight the guide is. That's coming out. Flip the head over. It's literally just falling in there. That'll be where the oil's coming from then. See, they have an O-ring on the underside here, which is clearly not doing anything anymore. Question is, where's my torch? Does that mean there's a crack here possibly? I have seen them. It's kind of hard to look at it and film it at the same time. I have seen them crack. Right, okay. Let me have a proper look without trying to film it. I will check in a little while. Right, so here's where we're at. Obviously I need to clear this with the owner first, but I think the best way out of this is gonna put new exhaust guides in it. With new O-rings, obviously. They're a bit of a pain in the what's it because you've got to remount, at least, fucking hell, I'm talking 20 years ago since, you know, I last ordered guides for one of these, but I'm pretty sure they come and you've got to ream them out to the right size for the valve stem. But if I rummage around, I'm sure I've got some reamers that'll fit. Might make for an interesting bit of video, and then recut the valve seats, and then what I think I'll do is I'll knock the inlet guides out and put new O-rings under those. Not too worried about the, I mean they're within spec anyway, but they've got a seal on the inlet side, so not too worried about that. Anyway, so this is probably, I think this is probably, I'll just add this last little bit I've been doing to part 1, and then there'll be a part 2 at some point. Alright, thanks guys, cheers, bye.